Hey guys, I'm live here, and thanks for joining me again on this wild journey, being affected by what's going on Maui. And thank everybody for engaging with the content that I'm putting out there. It's great to know that there's people from all over the world who are watching these videos, and especially some of those videos about people's testimonies to the county council. Those have been some of my most popular videos, and it really, I think, hits a chord with many people when the people from Hawaii are giving their testimony to county council and how impassioned they are, as well as frustrated and doing their best to look forward. So, just thank you everybody for engaging and being concerned about Maui. Really, there's so much more going on than just what we're seeing on Maui, in the sense of, trust in government, mismanagement. I mean, a whole range of issues. So, but I'm here because of you guys. So once again, just thank you. I'm here on the Big Island in Volcano, where we've been having an eruption, but that eruption just stopped in Kīlauea. It wasn't going for many days. And a short introduction about myself. I was born and raised on Maui in upcountry Kula. My parents' home, which is as old as I am, was nearly escaped being destroyed. Many homes in their neighborhood and families have been displaced, but it was one of many fires going on at the time, of complete chaos on the island in terms of management. And I was on the phone with my parents the whole day, knowing these red flag warnings and just being concerned with the winds. And yes, how does an eruption start, Matt? Here, living on the Big Island, we live maybe 5 miles away from the Kīlauea caldera, and there is a pool of magma underneath that area, and what's called the East Rift Zone. And that area, usually we have a swarm of earthquakes, maybe a large one, and then an eruption that happens. But I really encourage you to go check out Google Earth and look at Volcano, Hawaii National Park, and you'll clearly see the numerous fissures and eruptions that have happened in this area. So a really gorgeous place where we live here in Volcano, off the grid. So, but a little bit to what I have to share today, right? Today is Sunday. We've just gone through a week of a roller coaster of trying to make sense of I like to refer to this as kind of like the post. This what's happening in Maui has really put me and the people I know in sort of a haze, I think, in terms of experiencing time and emotions and feelings, and sort of losing track of time. Maybe those are some symptoms of trauma for sure. But really the last 5 weeks has been just a roller coaster of ups and downs, of tears, of hugs, of laughter. A refugee, maybe a gentrification refugee, of just not being able to afford to live on Maui, and realizing that, Christina and I, we had to just make the best move and buy land here, which is still affordable, and live a simple life off the grid, so that we don't carry much debt, and we can, you can see the banana trees behind me. The first thing we did when we moved here is plant as much plants, citrus, peach, banana, everywhere. And it was, a quote I like to think of from Eliud Kipchoge, the great marathoner. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. So I try to take that to heart and, put those seeds in the ground and get them going, so that you can have the bounty from them. Yeah, I'm so sorry too that everyone's going through this. On that note, before I get into some of the stories I wanted to cover, Christina just got back from spending time on Maui and Kula, and she the only advice I told her was to, just listen. Just if you want to help the healing process, just listen to these people. And she ran into a lot more people than I think she expected to, and just listened and had the complete wide range of just everything that's going on there, and how there's people who live on the island, and they live up country, and some of them are still unaware of what happened in parts of up country, let alone Lahaina. And part of that is just people trying to deal with the everyday problems they have right now, that they don't have much time to look into these other things. How far away is Kula? Kula from Lahaina is, I don't know, as a bird flies, maybe about 30. It's on the other side of the island, maybe 30 miles. So it's a good ways away. But just to remind people, there was a number of fires on that island that day. Lahaina had a fire in the morning. Olinda, which is in a completely opposite side of the island, which is close to the rainforest near Halemaʻumaʻu, had, I think it was a fire start that night. And then, so 2 parts of the island were on fire. Yes, there were 5 fires. Then my parents who lived in Kula, they were somewhat aware of the Olinda fire, and Olinda and Kula are very close. But the next thing they knew, and my dad has some great photos, that there was a down transistor power line up above them, that about, I don't know, 2 o'clock, smoke started, and then fire spread down the mountain, Halemaʻumaʻu, and spread to above Kihei. So there was probably, at least what I was tracking, 3 major fires that were spreading with the winds around the mountain to the dry area. And the Lahaina fire, which had initially started in the morning, reignited as the winds came in on the afternoon. And that's when my parents had to evacuate. That's when Lahaina was destroyed. In that morning, they evacuated, or they tried to evacuate parts of Kihei. They're really, the island was just completely on fire. So I think there was a lot of people who, there wasn't much communication going on the island on many levels. So one of the things that I was trying to do the best I could was search on the web, search thermal imaging, and try to tell my parents of what was happening around where they were. At the same time, I went to the county website. I tried to go to all these places where I thought, well, they're going to have, percentage contained, or they're going to have a map of where the fire is, or, the county website will have something. They didn't have anything, so that's when I first got engaged with this whole process, was just to keep my parents informed. And Linda, Boston. And, the next morning, I stayed up pretty much the whole night looking at information when the fire spread, and the images I had seen come out of Lahaina were just, and then to hear people say just destroyed, just struck a chord. But that morning, I was talking to my parents at about 5:30, and they had slept in their car in the Hannibal Tavares Community Center there in Pukalani, because the smoke was too bad. And I was talking to my mom, and in my mind, having seen Lahaina, seeing where the fire was still spreading throughout the island, I was like just trying to prepare myself that might be on the phone with my mom to see something that was their home just destroyed. But they were very fortunate. That morning, their home remained, but they couldn't stay very long, because the fire, the smoke, it was just not a good place to be. So they spent many of nights actually at my sister's place in Wailuku, escaping this. So yeah, yet they didn't have the sirens. My parents, however, I think there was so much focus what was happening in the upcountry area, that my parents, police did come. They did have a warning. they did get, but by the time Lahaina happened, I don't know if I think they might they might have just been trying to manage what was happening in upcountry, which seemed like upcountry and Kihei were going to catch on fire. Um, yeah, Lahaina is still there. It's just it's changed. Lahaina will never not be there. It's just going through a painful transformation that is hard to make sense of. So, but that's a little bit about my backstory. And thank you guys right now who are just joining me. If you like what I'm doing, just give me a thumbs up. Look at the content that I'm providing, and realize that I'm just some person trying to do my best to share stories about what's happening there on Maui, and it just matters a lot to me. And I'm grateful that the internet has provided me with a means to share this information, as well as spend time with people who want to watch live stream, which is, I think, something unique and feels unique in the experience, because we can all express ourselves. So that's great. I don't know, I don't know how I found you either, but here we are. Here we are having a dialogue and a discussion, and trying to do my best to keep the story about what's happening, not just in Maui and Lahaina, but what happened to the whole island, and what is continuing to happen there. It's there is so much going on there. It's tough to focus on one thing and not also see that these other things. I'm glad to hear. Yeah. Thank you guys. But as always, we're into this stream already, right? I always tell people, if you want to get a feel or a touch of what's happening there in Maui, I have these links below. KPOA 93.5. I listen to them daily. The commercials have increased. You can hear all the attorneys and everybody, like all the the vultures, around. But the music there and the information they're giving and the spirit that they have there has been a beacon to all of us. And I listened to KPOA as soon as this happened, and KPOA is located on the west side. I believe it's 39 years old. Great Hawaiian music, great people who are in touch with the community, people who support the community. And if you really, really want to know what's going on, spend some time listening to KPOA. It'll give you a voice, or if you've been to Maui or Hawaii, that is a great place to just yeah. What do you think, Fly Girl 517? Hopefully you like it, besides all the commercials, but some of the Hawaiian music is very touching. I listen to it mostly when I take Cristina to work, or I listen to it when I can, whenever I'm driving. But so right, KPOA. Also, the Luna Strong Fund is an athletic fund. I'm an athlete. I'm a coach. I ran in the MIL. Many of my I have too many connections there with sports, and growing up on Maui, paddling canoe, just engaged in sports my whole life. And Maui, Hawaii is a great place to do sports. The Luna Strong Fund, the link is below. They have shirts. I need to get myself a shirt. I think I need to get my parents some shirts. It's a great way to show the kids, the coaches, the families there that if nothing's normal, right? But if we can get to playing some sports and learn the teamwork and commitment, and not all coaches are good, but the general experience. People don't coach in high school to make money. I never made much money in high school coaching. I did it just because I loved coaching. I did it because I wanted to have a positive impact and sort of pass a baton from other coaches that I had learned from, who did it for the love of it. And to me, it's a lifelong journey of sports. So please, if you want to help, get a shirt there. There's big backers, local people, local organizations. There's already a lot of support there, and they're doing great work. Check out that link. Yeah, I worked for a private school there, and it's like amazing, the commitment that's required, yet you're not really treated as a professional. Yet I really felt that some of the skill sets that I were giving these kids was different than the classroom, although maybe in combination with the classroom. But there's nothing like a real life experience where something like cross country allows you to challenge yourself, set goals, fail, be accountable, be in the spotlight. It's a little playground for life, and I always felt it was a valuable thing to me to get myself grounded, as well as help other student athletes on that journey. So yeah, Joe, it sounds like 85% right. If you're not completely familiar with Lahaina, the area that got devastated, there's an area above it that goes up to Lahaina Luna. And that area was somewhat untouched, and the area, the main school was untouched. So that area didn't see that much damage. Someone just asked about, where is the most economically, economics is tough in terms if you're asking where to live. The Big Island, it is very affordable here, but there's challenges that you have to take up front that it's more like the Wild West, but there's very affordable land here. If you're looking to move to Maui or any part of Maui, unless you're willing to pay huge interest rates or take out a huge loan, come with $1 million to most of Hawaii if you want to buy land. Big Island is one of the very few places that there's affordable land, and that's why Christina and I decided to move here. Joe, that's great to hear that you've been to Lahaina many times. Isn't it heartbreaking though? That's lot of memories there for me. I ran the Maui Marathon, the Front Street Mile. I stayed. I don't know. There's like living in upcountry Kula, which is a small community. Oh, Run to the Sun. Yeah, I never did it by myself. I did it as a relay team. I also did a shirt one year for it. But yeah, Maui is not cheap. Maui, Kauai, Oahu are not cheap areas. Parts of the Big Island are very expensive. If you want to live in Ocean View in the Big Island, Ocean View, when we were looking at property in 2019, when the eruption was going off in Leilani Estates, there was acres for like $5,000, but you're like, it's a lava field you're on. There's no water meters. If you're ready to make it out there, and these areas are rough neighborhoods. You got to pick your neighborhood carefully here, and you need to know your neighbors, and you need to all know that you're watching out for each other. Where we live, we have a pretty good relationship with everybody here. We're all keeping track of things. But I live next to the park. Land is still very affordable, but it's jungle. And if you're not ready for 24 inches of rain a year, that is. I've never experienced rain like I've experienced it here. We had in March 60 inches of rain in 1 month, and I'm not sure that was any major system. That was just a heavy month. But if you look behind me, here we are at the end of the summer. Here going into fall, and everything's green here. So big benefit here is if you can learn to live with little, land is affordable. You got to catch your own water. Most people live off grid. So, it's a challenge, but it's a rewarding challenge that Christina and I have really enjoyed. We moved out here in an RV. We were going to live in a yurt. So, yeah, and I'll have to do a video, Flag Girl 1517, sorry, about our yard and how it's transformed. But on to some of the things. Along that point, actually, in one of the links I have below, I have a We Are Moving, and it's a look back at Maui. And we moved here in 2019, and I made a sort of a montage of our experiences there on Maui, as well as us moving here. So if you want to see what our life looked like in Maui, I put this link below, We Are Moving. It's a montage and my reflections, as I think we're 5 weeks from moving from Maui to the Big Island. No running water. That's right. You got to figure it out yourself here, and you got to catch the water, have filter systems, test your water, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel here for sure. There's many of people who are experienced. There's many businesses here that all know that water catchment is actually the only way to go. Yeah, water catchment is awesome, especially when you have this amount of water. Most people have a 5,000 gallon tank here for their water catchment. So, yeah, Puna Rainforest District is we don't have any water lines here. We have power lines, but literally everybody is off grid. So, in part coming to the Big Island and was not just the economic push. We were living in Kula for $600 a month for like 15 years in a beautiful property. Check out the video if you want to see what it's like. But that was a big benefit. It allowed us to save some money. My parents got married here. My dad was stationed at KMC. My uncle lived off grid here for 35, 40 years. He's an artist. And those are some of the motivators that inspired me and Cristina to be like, you know what? Maybe we can do this, as uncomfortable as it might be, where we might have to give up some quote unquote luxuries, but live with no bills. And here we are. We have no mortgage. I built the house myself. We have no water bill. We have no electrical bill. We have upkeep costs, and that's something that I do most of it. But and we're getting a little bit of rain right now. Lucky us here. So, and then no sewage infrastructure either. Yeah, that is true. So most people have septic tanks, but there was a problem here with cesspools near the ocean that need to be replaced. But yeah, the infrastructure here, and right, we have hurricanes and storms. So the likelihood of power going out here is very high. So luckily, when you live off grid, if the power goes out, you're really not too concerned about it. We have a backup generator. We have a 5.1 kilowatt we have a whole bunch of infrastructure here to help us survive. And then you become very aware of how much water you use and how much electricity you use when you have the tank that you use as an indicator of what you have left. So, but we have lots of rain here. And then right back to some of these videos below, or the description. My girlfriend Cristina just came back from Maui. She was on Maui for 4 days up in upcountry Kula. She didn't upload anything there. She just uploaded her first video about one of my friends from high school and his mom who they have a 40-acre farm in Kula. And, I don't know the estimates for how much they lost, but they lost many of vehicles, the structures, and she got to drive around the property. So I don't have the link to that video, but I have a link to her station below, and she will have more videos of her reflection and her experience in upcountry Kula as she has time to update this stuff. But she was deeply touched by it. I think unless you go to Maui and experience the stories, and she had friends from Lahaina who had escaped. We had friends up in Olinda. One of our very good friends, Raph, I did his daughter's birthday cake. He helped save Olinda with his whole crew. And you hear all these amazing stories of these, Maui heroes, or just people, just working people stepping up and just carrying the brunt of the work in this crazy disaster. But it's an emotional toll. I think it's been difficult for me. It's been difficult for her to just absorb that. Yet we're not even directly affected from living there. But the stories and all the people that we know, it's like the more I go on with this story, the more I see people that I've known my whole life on national news, on in all sorts of places, and then to hear these stories of everyone who, in one way, through their business, is being directly affected by this just ongoing disaster. Yes, muzzle flash. Yeah, that's an issue. I think we'll get to a little bit that in a bit. Actually, we'll get to that right now, right? Samantha from Starkey Farmstead. I'm sure most of you who are watching this video have seen her videos, because if you're watching my content, it's very likely that you're probably watching her content, because there's just a handful of us, at least on YouTube, doing this longer content. However, Samantha from Louisiana, with the help of a church and fundraising, came here looking into those questions and was maybe swirling around the internet of like all these things of where are the children, what about these dust nests, but she's I don't know, a 7 or 8, she spent I think a week there. Hey, Mark the Shark, yeah. Maybe we can talk about your fence one day. We got to work on. Mark wants a fence. I built a koa fence up here, and we got to work on it. But Mark the Shark is he does live streams. Check out his station as well. Been following my station. I've been following his station for quite a while. So great to see you. But back to Samantha. She's done a lot of videos while she's there. Jeff Bezos's property, Oprah's property, interviewing people. Watching her go to the Halemaʻumaʻu General Store was my parents went there right before it closed. It's a high-end restaurant, great cuisine, but it's closed for 2 months. But to see her up close, to see this person who came with such great intentions and an open mind, and get some get some of those questions answered, I think, for all of us. So while I'm not going to go into great detail about some of these things, I do recommend that you check out some of Samantha's video. It seems like she's just been open to investigating reporting, and has just shown a humbleness as well as just a great spirit of what kind of tourists and people Maui needs to have come to the island. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, Samantha has been amazing, and it's quite amazing how for some reason she's been driven to do these things, and she's doing it very well, and it's great to see. At first when she came or was coming to Maui, I was like, oh, and boy, man, people, it can be rough on Maui, like you have to be really sensitive coming to the islands. And she was, and I think she was open to listening to people's stories. And I think it's a great lesson for all of us, is like, as we Massachusetts, as we try to make sense of what's happening here on Maui, we also have to be open to. We need to be open, and especially listen to the people there on Maui, because as much as we, right, Rock and Oprah are like all over the place. If you look up Maui fires, and those are all AI generated images, or most of them, and it's missing so much of what's happening there. So, but right, I'll go on to a couple more links that I have below about some of the other things that I think are interesting. Right, there's been a lot of concerned. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Bella, about what's happening in the harbor. I mean, there's a lot of concerns about everything, right? But access to the harbor, the sludge in the harbor, toxic harbor. So I do have an article about scientists who are concerned about that toxic sludge and what that may mean for so many things there. So many people fish. It doesn't look good. Where's Samantha's link? Name of her channel. It's in the description below, but it's Samantha. I do have all the descriptions and links below. I don't know if they're all hyperlinked, but if you look in the description, they should all be there. If not, I've got, I guess, some problems that I need to fix. So, and let's see. There's also Oh, great. I'm glad it's there. There's also an article underneath that. You can't unsee it. And this is the mental toll on the search and rescue. And I thought this is a pretty good article about, you know, we can all, conjecture and point fingers. However, some of those people who are in there searching for bodies, that, you know, that is but there's a great article about their mental health and bringing awareness to that element of the conversation. So, and then I have here the American Lung Association has questioning about the messaging coming from the state. And I couldn't agree with them anymore. I don't think it's just the air quality. The state has not done a very good job on almost every level, including the county, on providing transparent, clear information to the people. I don't know what they're doing, but they have missed that really crucial, yes, I will, important thing, which is you got to have information to give to people that makes sense. And I don't know, I think most of you have seen that the numbers have been revised, but it's hard to believe anything with the numbers that they're giving, given how they provided the information over the last 5 weeks. We had 1,000 missing, 2,000 missing. Even the DOE they've reached out to many parents, but there's still a number of kids who are not accounted for, which makes it really hard to make sense of anything. So, yes, Mark, right? If you're just joining me, yeah, give me a thumbs up. That does help to get this content out here and this story to be spread, and to keep this conversation of what's Maui keep going. So, and then I also have a link down there on Hawaiian housing report with an economist. Little bit dry, a little bit real estate. However, this economist Paul Brewbaker does go into some of the economic impacts that were happening, the slowdown, right? The pandemic, we travel just completely stopped. Hey, Tiffany, dropped to zero. Nobody was coming in. Inter-island travel just dropped. And then Maui was kind of struggling out of that. And there was problems before this wildfire. And then this wildfire, and the messaging that came from the state and the governor was not very clear, and it pretty much cut off Hawaii or Maui completely. And I've been watching the daily visitor numbers. There's a link to that below, and this is a slower part of the season, but it's gone from 8,000 to almost 2,000. We're trending up on Maui a little bit, but really not enough. So the economic impact is just it's surreal. It's breathtaking. I'm very fortunate that my parents own their home. They don't have a mortgage and they're retired. But people who have mortgages, these interest rates, it's just and there's everything's slowed down there. So I'm sure construction will pick up. But yeah, check out that report. And then I also put this in there again if anybody is very interested, right? A much bigger YouTuber out there, OMG James O'Keefe. If you haven't followed him, check out what these guys are doing. And he basically challenges Green in court and has filed a federal lawsuit against Green specifically regarding First Amendment rights as well as 14th Amendment right. There is a link below to that video, and there's also a link to a nonprofit organization that has the complete law suit that has been filed. And if you want to read it, it's only 17 pages. It's legalese. However, it does bring up some very crucial issues that I think need to be resolved. Yeah, James O'Keefe is righteous. It's amazing how you find these people through these issues, but I'm so glad he came to Maui to push the subject. I really felt it was crucial that someone almost get arrested for what they're doing out there so that there would be good evidence about these constitutional issues, as well as Josh Green's very poorly worded, vague proclamation. So lawyer wins, people lose. There is some truth to that, right? I went to Temple Law School. I did not graduate Temple Law School. I went to Temple Law School after coming out of the University of Oregon, who just crushed Hawaii yesterday. But one of the things I went to law school is to understand the importance of language and words. And I think attorneys have that power. And unfortunately, in these situations, they do win. So, but yeah, OMG, check him out. And then for some of you have been watching what's been happening here in the Kīlauea, the Randy, that's good. What a great decision. I had friends who were telling me, "Are you sure you want to be an attorney? I don't think that's what you want to do." I don't know, you don't know me. Like I'm an attorney. I want to be that. But I'm glad I spent time learning what I did. But right, for those of as I was saying in Volcano, Kīlauea, it looks like the eruption has completely stopped, and this is a short eruption. It was I have a link to the USGS, and there's been people covering it. It was spectacular. One of the best eruptions I've seen here. Part of the reason we moved out here is because of the national park and to be so close to what we call here as Pele, which is the goddess of fire who wakes up and does these performances from time to time. So Kīlauea is not erupting, but and then I also have a link to the Hawaii State Constitution below if anybody wants to read that. And there's also a great video down below on when cops realize they are done for. I had to show Cristina this video when she got back, and it's, I believe, a lieutenant and a police officer who actually have no understanding of the law, and I think their case is still going on. But this video that I have, when cops realize they're done for, they actually have clips of them on trial, and the prosecutor is asking some very basic questions, and these police officers are really not familiar with Miranda rights. It's like Christina's my girlfriend. It's but yeah, I'll go to some of your questions. Do you have a problem with the VOG? Not usually. Here in Hawaii, we have trade winds, and these trade winds make this part of the island green, and areas like Lahaina on Maui or Kihei dry. So here, Kona is dry, but we get a lot of rain with those trade winds, and those trade winds will also push the volcanic, the VOG away from us. So yeah, VOG is like, basically it's a mix of sulfur dioxide. Mark, off to work. Hope to see you here on the Big Island soon, maybe at KMC. We got to do some bowling up there. I'm not that good, but it's a lot of fun. So take care, and aloha, Mark. But yeah, VOG, right, when the volcano erupts, it's sulfur dioxide, basically burning rocks, and yeah, volcanic fog. That's a good way to put it. And it's not good for you at all, and it usually just goes around to Kona, and it'll sometimes go all the way to the other islands. On Maui, there was times when, I think it was during the Leilani eruption, that I couldn't see the other side of the mountain because we had what they call when there's no trade winds, it's called a Kona low, or it's like all of a sudden the winds stop, and when the winds stop, the whole island, if there's volcanic activity, it's like Beijing or something. It's not good. So yeah, it's bad in South Kona right now. But the good thing is the eruption stopped, so I don't think it's going to be too much worse if we keep these trade winds up. You haven't bowled for years. Oh, I might have a chance. Yes, sulfur dioxide. Yeah, if you aren't familiar with this area that I live in Volcano, check it out on Google Earth. It is a very dynamic area. I do have a lot of videos on my station of runs, hikes that I've done. If you want to see something spectacular, check out Halemaʻumaʻu. Halemaʻumaʻu is this little beach oasis that is in the south area that is just it's like maybe what many people would imagine Hawaii to look like, but it is very remote, bountiful. There's lobsters, there's fishing galore, but also a very dangerous area where it's right on the East Rift Zone, so there's a constant threat of tsunamis. So, but yeah, I'd like to hear maybe where some of you guys hear from on this stream. And I'm always interested to hear what has drawn you to this story about Maui and Lahaina. I was directly affected by my parents, and this Washington State, Florida, nice, awesome. Never been to Florida. Arizona, you lived through the California fires. Oh, I had to watch some videos. I went back to watch some of the videos, and even videos about the lawsuits after that. Texas, yeah, POA, Australia, Washington State. That's awesome. And what about, how many have you guys any of you guys been to Lahaina? Any stories about Lahaina? Kona, Austin, Texas. Oahu, it's been so sad but great to know that Hawaii resonates with so many people. In January, Joshua Tree. Lived in Lahaina in the late 80s. What a sweet time to be in Hawaii, Nancy loved books on old Hawaii. I love so many elements of the stories of Hawaii. Hawaii's got such a rich history. South Florida sucks. Newport, Washington. Anybody who's interested, probably the first person to really promote the islands to the European American audience was Mark Twain. And Mark Twain spent a lot of time in all the islands, spent time in Maui and Halemaʻumaʻu, spent time here in Volcano. I highly recommend Mark Twain's stories about his visit to Hawaii. Oh, you lived in Ocean View. Well, that's great. We have a very diverse crowd here. What's up with the Ofra, Winspree, and the Stone? I'm really interested to see who, if anybody, actually receives any money from their fund. That sure turned against them, and it's unfortunate that Alabama. Yeah, Pat, it's amazing the many forms of trauma, and for such, Lahaina, there's Maui in general, there's a lot of corruption in government. We can talk about all those things, but the people who work there are just sweet, generous people, and they got sweet smiles, and we're open arms. Yeah, Mark Twain. Check out his writing. He has some great writing about Hawaii. Vivid. He loved this place, and he gave over 100 lectures on the island. So I think of him as one of the first advocates and the first people. Another person, if you're interested in getting the history or the richness of Hawaii, Herb Connie is an artist. I believe he's from Wisconsin. He lived in Kona, but his love for storytelling, for the ocean, he was involved in the Hokulea and building the Hokulea, but he did oil paintings, and his oil paintings really give you a vivid picture of what Hawaii looked before European contact, during European contact. I mean, Connie passed away, growing up, I'm an artist, and his stories and his books, I carried them with me when I traveled, and it gave me such great pride to be from Maui and from Hawaii, and you know to try to live up to him. I don't know. He's just check out Herb Connie though. He's got a website. He's got, I don't know, hundreds of paintings of everything. He has a very sweet painting of, I think it's kind of poly pre-contact, that shows you what Hawaii probably looked like in that area. Oak Street. The Polynesian Voyage Society. Who, Shelley? Are you talking about Herb Kane? Yeah, he's an artist. Somebody's thinking about coming to Hawaii or Maui, Yeah, I think as long as you want to listen to people, Maui's beautiful. Maui needs help. Maui's economy needs to, they also need to deal with these politicians who are in charge, and I'm not sure there's going to be much healing until we see people like Pelletier or Green or Bisson. They're hiding behind, the flood of lawsuits. So, do you need permission to live in Molokai? No, but you definitely want to know the people of Molokai if you want to live in Molokai. Those are very, Herb Kane. Check him out. Tight communities, Molokai and Lanai. Everybody kind of knows everybody there. So, but Molokai is a gorgeous island. Growing up as in high school, I got to run cross country, and we would run on all these islands. That was sort of our league. So. Yeah, I got some of those. Yeah, some of you, if you want to see the richness of the Hawaiian culture alive, the Hokulea is a vessel that they built that journeys around the world, and it shows that the technology that the Hawaiians, the Polynesians have, still work to today. Yeah, Father Damien of Molokai. Yeah, living here on the Big Island it's a pretty sweet place. You kind of have to take care of your own for sure, but we have a farmers market with affordable food, all sorts of events here, cultural events, art events. Um, there's a lot of cultural richness here, and then in addition, we live in the rainforest where you can barely see some of those trees behind me, but those are ohia trees, and they're some of them are 400, 500 years old in our property. So, yeah, the Polynesians, if you think about how they came to Hawaii, right? I'm not sure the exact amount, was it 2,300 miles to Hawaii, and made, I believe, multiple journeys. But using navigation and understanding the ocean were just, well beyond. I'm Portuguese, and the Portuguese were great navigators, but a little above what they were doing. So. Rob, we have exact due coordinates. That's an issue that keeps on coming up. And, Jason Momoa. Right, if not to go into too deep, right, there's a technology center in Hawaii in which DoD contractors work. And right there is a lot of Space Force, Air Force stuff located with the Halakala. So, there's clearly Air Force space technology going on. My voice sounds like I'm underwater. I'm sorry, I need to get better upgrades, and that's sort of the plan, is to get to a mic or a Bluetooth. So, and connectivity here is not very good at all. So I think that's part of the problem as well. But I'll try to speak clear. Audio is bumpy. Yeah, it might be connectivity. Yeah, the anomalies I think that have happened with these wildfires. They're odd, but these fires were just outliers of all the wildfires. I've watched a number of wildfires. I'll have to get that link maybe on another live stream, but I have a playlist on my YouTube of a number of wildfires as well as cane fires that have occurred on Maui when we were living there. Some of them are time lapse, but there's been a numerous amount of fires. We basically have a fire season much like California on Maui and on some of the other islands as well. My sound is catching and popping. Well, that might be an indicator that I might have to take off here and wait till I have a better connectivity. But I thank all of you guys for joining me. Check out those links below. And I hope to be back maybe with Cristina and we can do a live stream. Yeah, wildfire. Maybe it should be called like a town fire or a city fire. I'm not sure that wildfire is the right term. Yeah, thank you guys. I think earphones would help too. I'm working on it, so stick with me. It'll get better. You guys, aloha.